All right, what's up, everybody? It's your boy Floyd here with Dan Tucker's Revenge Fantasy Football League, best fantasy football league in the world. I'm joined here by my lovely co-host, as per usual, Michael Wiseman, owner of Team Magnum XL. How you doing, Michael?
Great, another week. Let's get it.
And then we got joined with us, who just made a big splash, owner of Team 4 Down Territory. Usually quiet in the chat. But he makes moves on the low. Everybody fears him for sure. He lets his game do all the talking. Mike Brobst, how you doing, Mike?
Good, man. How you guys?
We're doing
Fantastic.
awesome. As you can see, we got our guest, Lil Jackson. Fresh Jackson. How you doing, baby Jax?
Yeah.
He's like, yeah, we doing good.
He'll be in the B League next year.
Yeah, he'll be in the relegation next year.
Yeah.
I'll confirm. He's going to be a finesser just like his dad. So, Michael, if you just want to take us straight into standings, we'll get things started.
Yeah, we're seeing a little bit of separation from last week since we had so many 2-2 teams. Still at the top, Team Delaney, Saggy Tits, and XNXX.com, Alexis, Texas. Rob still AFK, still top of the standings. Drafted a good team, I guess. And then we've got 4 3-2 teams, which are our guest, Mike Brobst, 4 Down Territory. Team Butts, Get to Black, Damien, and Joe Mixon, Yo Bitch, Trevor. Followed by 5 2-3 teams, myself, Juice is Loose, Mikey Martinez, the Gale Quails, which is Gale or Drake, Golden Taint, which is Ricky, and then Evansdale Carpet Munchers with Nick, and the lonely 0-5 at the bottom, multiple Gorgasms, Derek Walker.
Yeah, it's not surprised to see Derek at the bottom, like always. It's been a consistent thing. Standings haven't just really changed much since week 3. It's just been a sandwich with me and Rob on top and Derek on the bottom. But even with that said, there's still 7 or 8 weeks left, and there's going to be a clusterfuck at the bottom. So Derek is still well within this thing. This thing's still a toss-up for everybody. Who knows? We're not even 50% done. It's going to be great to see what makes of this, because this league's been crazy.
Let me say this to Derek's credit before you go on. To be fair to Derek, he has been unlucky. Most points against, 746. Ouch. I thought I was unlucky, but that's unlucky.
Me starting was how I started last year. I started 0-4, and I had like the second most points against me, so I felt his pain.
Yeah, it stinks, especially when there's teams that you know are better, and it's shown by the fact that Derek hasn't been eliminated from Survivor Challenge yet. And then if you look at the rest, points for is still the same. We still got the same people on top. And, yeah. So...
Top 3 scoring teams right here, just saying.
Are we?
Yeah.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah, it's funny. You're top at 799, and then Mike has 707. I have 706. Rob has 705. So it's close.
And then I have the least points scored allowed or points scored against?
Ricky does with 563. You have 577.
I virtually have the most for and allowed, so it's fine. So obviously, I'm super antsy about this trade that just happened. Mike, Wiseman, if you want to take us into it and give us your opinions first, and then Mike can just read off that.
I think Mike should go first.
Okay, so last night I was kind of just putting some feelers out there. I put some trades out to you. I put some out to Derek. And I was interested in Kamara. I knew that he was 0-5, and he was going to be in kind of desperate situation. I was been there, done that. So I figured, what a better time coming off a Kamara 6-point game to try to make a move for him. So I sent out, what did I send out? I'd have to look at it. I think I still have it up here. Oh, let's see, my team. I sent him. No, I think it was like Kamara, and I think it was just Kamara for like Tyreek Hill and maybe Isaiah Crowell. And he countered with something. I was sitting in class. We literally went back and forth probably 4 or 5 times. And then finally he's like, throw Edelman and it's done. And I'm like, done. So I was pretty happy to get it. I was able to sneak in Landry too. I like Landry a whole lot, especially with Mayfield being quarterback now. Kamara, come on. You just can't go wrong there. Right. And then snuck into Sean Jackson is kind of a sneaky upside guy, kind of could blow up for me. I feel like I got a good floor now with these running backs. So having kind of that type of upside is huge, I think. So that was kind of my game plan behind it all. And I knew he needed depth. He had a lot of guys hurt, a lot of guys on bye. He was literally looking at starting someone off the waiver. And if you look at the waiver wire, there's nobody right now. So I figured give him 4 starters, and he wanted Tyreek Hill. That was the main guy that he wanted, and then he added Edelman late. I was fine with that. I have depth at running back and receiver, so I was fine with it.
Yeah, it makes
so the
sense to me.
official trade was Alvin Kamara, Jarvis Landry, Deshaun Jackson for Tyreek Hill, Julian Edelman, Adrian Peterson, Philip Lindsay. Michael, what are your thoughts?
All right. Well, obviously, I would like to be on Mike's side of this. Receiving the best player in fantasy football is a no-brainer, especially Derek's situation was unique because most people that had Alvin Kamara on their team is not going to be 0-5.
Yeah.
And going into the bye week, like Derek said in the group chat, he was desperate. I myself was actually thinking about earlier today, so it's funny that this trade happened. I was like, I wonder if I could get Alvin Kamara off of Derek for cheap since he's on bye and he's probably desperate. So I guess Mike and I were on the same thought process, but he beat me to it. Honestly, the biggest takeaway I'm gonna say for this is while it might hurt you a little bit at wide receiver, Mike. Obviously, you got Jarvis Landry back, so that's great. I think Derek sold way too cheap. Like Derek could have got so much more. Like if I was gonna make an offer for Alvin Kamara, like my opening offer probably would have been more than what he just got. So I think Derek sold incredibly low.
Yeah, and I'm about to say I think we're all beating around the bush at what's really happened here. It's crazy because it would be a hard buy if I was an Alvin Kamara owner and I was in Derek's situation. It would be hard to ship Alvin Kamara for all 4 of those guys. And let's look into the stats real quick because Tyreek Hill and Jarvis Landry are virtually the same guy except one has the floor, one doesn't. Look at their averages; they're like 5 points apart, not even.
Yeah, and then I wanted the floor of Landry with.
And then Kamara, that was obviously the 6-point game was obviously had everything to do with the game got out of hand really quick, and it was Mark Ingram's first game back.
The Saints slapped him.
Kamara's been a workhorse, so they didn't even need so the game script for why he only had 6 points was obvious.
Yeah.
So the fact that Alvin Kamara actually doesn't have an outlier game, you can throw that away. It's not even close. So if you can say Jarvis Landry and Tyreek Hill are the same guy, that means, and if you think Julian Edelman is marginally better than Deshaun Jackson, whatever, but then you're just trading Alvin Kamara for Adrian Peterson and Philip Lindsay. And to me, it just doesn't look good. So here's what's going on. I want the trade to go through because, you guys are obviously in situations. Who am I to say because Derek's 0-5? Like I said, it looks desperate.
And Kamara's on the bye.
Because we're not even 50% away from the league being over. I feel like if this trade is going to go through, maybe there's a way we can work around that Jarvis Landry piece is so huge. It makes no sense. It's free. It doesn't really. I feel like you guys should try to work out a new combo and see what we can work with because, dude, it seems so free and it's all fun and games until somebody gets trade raped. I don't know.
All right, I get what you're saying, but trade rape has happened in this league before, so this isn't unique.
What do you mean?
The year that Dylan traded David Johnson for nothing.
Right, and we all agree that should never happen again.
Yeah, I mean,
this was about the same time last year that I made the big move to trade Bell to Robert when I got Fournette, Zeke, and I gave him. Who did I give him? Sammy Watkins, Des Bryant, and Bell for Zeke and.
How much points does Kamara? I'm gonna pull these stats. I think it's crazy. I'm definitely sleeping on it before I send it through, and I'm gonna get a couple opinions. And I haven't even looked it over because, like I said, it was 2 hours ago, and I haven't fully looked over. It seems so free.
I guess there's no pressure to do it right now because none of these guys play on Thursday. So
yeah. In a multi-person trade, multi-player trade, it's just so hard. It takes more time to analyze. I don't want to make the wrong move. this was 2 hours ago, and I haven't even really looked at any numbers, or I don't know. And I don't want to because once I send it through, it's definitely final. But it looks like Kamara on the surface is so free, and I want to dig into it and put more thought into it than sending it through right now. But as of right now, that's our trade. So we'll see what happens.
Let me just say one more parting piece about it in Derek's defense, because I get it that Jed's gone. We'll get him back. But in Derek's defense, I think that giving him the trio, having him have the wide receiver trio of AJ Green, Tyreek Hill, and Julian Edelman is fine. I think that's a solid wide receiver trio.
Right.
And the fact that this week he was gonna have to start Austin Eckler and Corey Clement. Adrian Peterson and Philip Lindsay are a huge upgrade over those two, in my personal opinion.
Of course
and
they are.
Derek is an absolute must-win situation right now. If he wants to have any chance of making the playoffs, even any chance of not getting relegated, he has to win now. And Kamara wasn't going to help him win this week. So I think, above all, it was a strategy move. It's a strategy for Derek to try to keep himself alive.
I agree, and that's why I said I want to send it through, and I want them to be able to maybe try to work out some type of combo. I agree, this is a situation. But it seems like we might not even be in panic mode right now when it's not even halfway through the season. And I just want more time to pass, just at least overnight.
All that being said, I still agree with you that Jarvis Landry in this trade doesn't make sense. Alvin Kamara makes sense, but the Jarvis Landry part I think is what makes it dodgy.
Yeah, Kamara and Jackson would look that would look like a legit trade. But it just seems like Landry is such a free piece in that. It doesn't really make sense to me at all. But so we're gonna quit talking about that, and we're gonna jump into free agency moves this week. Free agency was kind of cute with Wendell Smallwood this week, so we'll take a peek at that.
I've got it pulled up, so whatever you want to start with.
Go for it. Just the free agents, whatever you want to start with.
Well, obviously the big ticket item of this period of free agency was Wendell Smallwood, with Jay Ajayi being put on IR, and he went for $22 to Drake, which is, I don't know exactly how much fab he had left, but that's definitely at least a quarter of what fab he had left. So, big free agency purchase there. But I don't know, I guess he has value since he is going to be utilized, but I don't know. I wasn't in a hurry to pick him up, personally.
Yeah, I was obviously in a rush because my running back situation is no good. I had already told you and Drake both this. I had actually had the bid for Wendell Smallwood at $26. And then this morning, I was like, shit, what about Darren Sproles? So I went from Darren Sproles upping him from $1 to $6, and I moved it down on Wendell Smallwood for $1 less than what Drake got him for. That was really ugly. Mike, did you go for anybody this week? Did you pick anybody up?
I did not in this league. So I did put a bid in for Smallwood in one of my other leagues, but that was only 10% of my fab, just because starting running backs, maybe starting running back. I think I like Smallwood's talent.
You
more than
you picked up Trubisky. You dropped Wilkins for Trubisky.
I'm sorry. Yeah, I picked up a quarterback because I have Breeze on by. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, nice.
Other than that, not a ton going on. You spent 12 on Robbie Anderson, which might have been a little excessive, but
no depth.
There's nothing out there, yeah. I think one thing that might be interesting is Butts picking up Donta Foreman. I know Donta Foreman's been disappointing in years before, but that's because he had to play under Lamar Miller. And Lamar Miller, did he play against the Cowboys on Sunday night? Because he put a goose egg for fantasy.
He was active, but he was last resort, pretty much.
Okay, yeah. But I don't know.
They didn't have any running backs on that roster, besides practice squad. So I think they kept them active just for worst case scenario.
I don't remember what award it was, but it's one of the college awards for best player, best running back, or whatever. And when Donta Foreman was playing in college, he won it. So Donta Foreman is an exceptional football player. So I think that pickup by Butts might be huge, because if Donta Foreman pans out, because I don't think they want to use Alfred Blue long term. I think that if they pivot to Donta Foreman, he could be massive. I don't know when he's coming back exactly, but yeah, that could be a big pickup for Butts.
Yeah, we'll see how that works out. Butts is obviously always the hot item on the waiver, always in the next slide. So we'll see if this one works out.
True, he added Josh Reynolds for $4. Is that a tight end or a wide receiver for the Rams?
That is a receiver, I believe. Maybe either Fourth string guy.
Must be banking on someone having a concussion. I don't know. He's not going to start him. I don't see the point, but whatever.
Yeah, he tallied his first reception of the season last week.
There we go.
Sleeper, just like Jeff Swaim.
Nothing good going on free agency being so deep. So when somebody like Wendell Smallwood goes, everybody beans off of him. And that's the worst part is, like, I feel like I probably should have kept my bid in or even could have put it bigger because, like, I have, $90-something, and the only position I'm going to need all year is running back. How many chances am I going to get a guy that's actually going to play? Because, like, that never happens. Most of the time it's like I'm going to pick up this third string guy. And
hopefully 2 guys get hurt.
Well, another thing.
Like, I could have put a bigger percent of mine in there. I kind of regret it.
I mean, another thing is that it's been no secret that the Eagles are looking into trading for another running back. So Wendell Smallwood might only be like a short-term answer because, like, if the Eagles trade for, like, there's been so many people they've been connected to. They've been linked to Le'Veon Bell, David Johnson, Jordan Howard, LaShawn McCoy. Like, there's been so many running backs in the past, like, week that have been linked with Philadelphia. It almost feels like Manchester United with, like, transfer players. People won't understand that reference, but, like, they've been linked to so many running backs. I don't think it's outside the realm of possibilities that they trade for somebody.
I think they will. I think with their team, how their team is built, I think they're going to try to win now again. So
the running backs don't matter. We all know that.
Fingers crossed for Shady. All right, let's get to the scoreboard.
Yeah, going to scoreboard. Start with last week. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
And Mike, you lost to Trevor scoring. Was he second most of the week?
Yes.
Trevor, you were the third most. We had third most points of the week. Trevor had second most. So that's another unlucky break for you. Losing on that sweat.
Yep, shout out.
Almost 6-6.
Shout out to Quincy and Newman with the donut. That's why I lost. But we go again next week.
Yeah, and then all that's left to talk about from last week's scoreboard is me, yet again, torching everything. And then we have our Survivor Challenge. So previously we had lost Drake, Nick, Trevor, and Ricky. And 2 people who had already lost the Survivor Challenge were the lowest scorers in Ricky and Nick Rudder. And tying Nick Rudder in our new Survivor loser is Mikey Martinez at 105.
Juice is loose. The juice.
So that is Drake, Nick, Trevor, Ricky, Mikey eliminated from the Survivor Challenge.
That's right.
Hey, Derek, I'm still alive. So,
it's goofy.
Wes, do you want to take us into week 3?
Yep. So week 6.
That's week 2. That's week 3. I think I was looking.
Yeah, week 6. What do you want to do first? Obviously, the first one popping up for me is our matchup.
Oh shit, you're right. All right, let me jump into this.
Since you and I are,
I had already looked at it. You are gonna boost me. I can say that. Like, I don't even have my screen pulled up yet. I looked at it earlier, and it's gonna be gross.
Yeah, this is my big chance against you with both Thomas and Galladay being on bye. I don't know what you're gonna do for that second flex spot, but I think I should be able to edge out a win here. It's been so tricky for me though because I've changed my lineup over the past 2 or 3 days, probably like 15 times. Like, I don't know, I haven't decided who I'm gonna put in my 2 flex spots, or even who I'm gonna play at quarterback. I really don't know exactly what I'm doing yet, but I'll figure it out.
So I had seen earlier, I was looking at your team, and at first the team that was up there was like, "What's this booty ass team?" But I'm gonna be honest, the team you have up right now is the team. Dude, you got so much floor this week, it's stupid. You just have guaranteed, in my opinion, probably the number 1 running back outside of it probably goes Kamara, Gurley, Saquon.
You can make an argument for Gordon, but yeah, Saquon's probably 4 or 3.
So, and then just the volume chasing in Jordan Howard, the Sean McCoy, Naheem Hines with, dude, the stupid Hines. Oh, my God. And, I mean, you got pretty good receivers, and yeah, this is my week to get crushed for sure. I actually kind of like Latavius Murray in this Arizona matchup, but it just kind of sucks that it's on the week that I'm going to get smoked, probably.
It had to happen. I got to do it for everybody else in the league. Do you have anything to add, Mike?
Yeah.
Mike Brobst, pretty bad.
A whole lot of the same, yeah. The 4 is just too. I mean, Keenan Allen too. I mean, he's going to get a lot. You got John Brown with a little bit of upside. You got Jeffrey that looked good in his first week back. So.
Let me just say one thing about John Brown. John Brown is the one that I'm most skeptical about in my starting lineup. But I looked at what happened with Tennessee with like deep threats like John Brown, and week one they got blasted by Kenny Stills, and week 2 they got blasted by Will Fuller. So deep threats are obviously a weakness for Tennessee.
Yeah.
So like with the rapport that John Brown and Joe Flacco have, I'm hoping for a big game there.
Yeah, it's not even.
He's the kind of guy where it takes one catch, he takes one
Right.
bomb for 60 yards, and he makes you weak. So
Right.
Is the next game on your thing, Michael? Derek and Drake.
Yep.
All right. Screw it, Mike. You want to take us into this one? Give us your thoughts, opinions, predictions, real quick. We got a big matchup. Eric at 0-5.
All right, let me look here. Let's see.
I guess there's implications whether or not this trade goes through and what we do.
Yeah, so depending on what happened with the trade, he's going to get Tyreek Hill, so that kind of balances out pretty well. He's going to have Willie Snead starting right now and Deshaun Jackson, so he'd be placing that with Lindsey and Peterson. So I'd say, if anything, I guess Snead's kind of more of a floor guy too. I mean, Deshaun Jackson's kind of more upside there. You can make your week with a couple big plays looking at his stats here. I think obviously he's 5 for 146, 4 for 129. So he's losing a little bit of upside, but I think he's gaining some floor. And then looking at Drake's got it. See, I have Fitzgerald in a few other leagues, and that offense has just been so bad. The thought of having Larry Fitzgerald the last year is seeming to be not going to happen, at least not this year. I don't know. I mean,
Yeah.
Arizona are the only 0-5 team, yeah?
They won last week. They beat
okay.
49, but
Okay.
It was still a shit show.
I feel like every year we're like, Larry Fitzgerald's not going to be able to do it, and then he does. But like now we're waiting for it.
I've owned the last 2, and he's done it. And now this year I own him again, and it's in another league, and it's just not happening.
There's situations for trash.
My general overview of this matchup, I think that if the trade goes through, Derek's team looks a lot better for this week. Obviously, going forward, losing Kamara and Landry, it's going to make his team weaker in the long run. But for this week, if the trade goes through, he's going to look better. I think Drake has a better team, but I think there's a possibility for a sting in the tail there from Derek because, like, look at some of his matchups. I get it, like, the Gronk Brady stack will be big with Kansas City, but Zeke's got Jacksonville. Cooper Kupp's playing in Denver, and apparently it's going to snow, so that could be a game where Todd Gurley touches the ball 40 times. And then, I mean, Tyler Lockett and Jordy Nelson, like, they can hit, but they're also prone to just disappear for you. So I think that Drake should win, but I also won't be surprised if his guys flop and he loses and Derek gets his first win.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah, I see a lot of variance. Like, just because of the matchup, like I said, Jordy Nelson's been huge some weeks, and then he's had 5 points in others. So
Yeah.
just a lot of variance.
I almost feel like it just depends on whatever Drake's guys do. Because those are, like, I think Derek's side looks good either way.
Yeah, exactly. I think Derek's going to score pretty much consistent across. I think Drake's team's got more range of outcomes, more variance there.
For sure.
Agree.
Next one, it's Damian Brown team gets a black. And Trevor Scotchel, Joe Mixon, yo, bitch. Let's see. Starting Jameis Winston over here on Trevor's side, but obviously that matchup's good against Atlanta. We got to think that Kansas City can put up some numbers against New England. But even then, sometimes Kareem Hunt, it feels like unless they're winning or unless they're like way ahead, it seems like Kareem Hunt doesn't score as much as we'd like. I feel like there's kind of a shade there. Like, I feel like people think Kareem Hunt scores more than he does, but like, I don't know. He's got the volume, so. You gotta love Damian's team regardless of the matchup. At least having Kirk Cousins, David Johnson, Adam Thielen, that gets me wet. This game honestly is a toss-up. Trevor's team doesn't look very good, so I feel like you gotta take Damian every time on this one. Am I wrong, Michael?
I think that you're right, except for the fact that because I was sleeping on Trevor's team last week. I thought there was no chance in hell Trevor's team puts up more than 130 points, and then he booms me with 145. So, like, I don't know. Devontae Adams has a good matchup against San Francisco. I don't know if Richard Sherman's going to be back yet. I mean, I think it changes a little bit if it does. But, I mean, Devontae Adams had Darius Slay on him last week, still put up 30 points. So I guess it might not matter. But George Kittle's been a consistent producer. If Josh Gordon's going to have a big game, I think it could be against Kansas City. But Ryan Grant, I mean, I guess the Colts are throwing the ball a lot, but I don't like relying on him or Michael Crabtree for that matter. And then on Damian's side, I don't like relying on Donta Moncrief. Dion Lewis has been disappointing. If Jameis is throwing the ball, Chris Godwin's stock goes down, I think, from when Fitzpatrick was playing.
Yeah.
I don't know. They both have some studs in their lineup, but they both have some stinkers in their lineup.
Mike, you got anything? Ropes?
I'm kind of in the same boat. So I think
I'm switching the more I look at it.
With Kareem Hunt going against New England, I don't see them getting up. I don't know. It's just such a tough matchup. I mean, do running backs ever usually
across?
Like, I think if they're going to be keeping up, they're going to be passing, not running with Hunt. So I think that limits him quite a bit. And then Crabtree against Tennessee, I feel like their underneath guys are a little better at defending than, like we talked about earlier, with the deep threats. So I think the deep threats will be more valuable in that matchup. Ryan Grant, if Hilton's out, which it looks like he will be, that could be a solid, forfeit, 10 to 15 points. Josh Gordon's kind of the question mark. He only had around 30% of the snaps last week, and it's going to vary. If he starts becoming more relevant in that offense, then we all know what Josh Gordon can do. If not, I mean, it's going to be hopefully a 2 for 50 and a touchdown. So
be against that Kansas City secondary too.
Exactly. So it doesn't take much to get that. Yep. So, man.
For Kareem Hunt, though,
I'm interested to see how this goes because we all know Keeneland's been a stud. I like Burton against Miami. I think he's going to be good. Cousins there in Miami. I think Arizona. And then David Johnson against Minnesota. They're starting to finally get that offense, at least for him, relevant enough to make him valuable. Because I have David Johnson on the league too, so I know all about how that struggle's going. So
I feel like on either side, this matchup is very game flow dependent.
Yeah, I'd say 100%.
Like, whatever happens in those games is going to determine the outcome. Like, I think it's very likely. So we can just jump into the next one. It's going to be Evansdale Carpet Munchers versus Juices Loose. That is Nick versus Mikey, our only 2-3 versus 2-3 matchup of the week. Wiseman, you want to start us off?
Yeah. I think that one of the reasons Mikey's team struggled last week is due to the fact that he did not have Mike Evans. So I think having Mike Evans back is going to be big for him. However, if Mikey's planning on starting Lamar Miller, I think he's crazy. So I think he's got to get him out of his lineup if he wants to win. Ertz is a stud, obviously. Garcon's been disappointing. Will Fuller against Buffalo, that one's going to be game script dependent. And then I think Cook's one of those guys that's going to put up a big game or not do much at all. And obviously James White's been so huge for New England, even with Sony Michel emerging. So I think James White's stellar. Mike Evans is good. Will Fuller can hit. Zach Ertz is good. I like his team a lot. Flexing 2 tight ends is interesting. But if Devonta Freeman's back, that's big for Nick. Tariq Cohen he had a great week before the bye, but he's coming back fresh off the bye, so that could be solid as well. And I don't remember who the corner is in Buffalo, but their number 1 corner has been really good so far this season. So DeAndre Hopkins might struggle a bit, but he himself is just a monster. So, I mean, if there's anyone that can overcome it, it's him. Honestly, this one is another one of those games that can go either way, but give me the slight edge for Juices Loose.
Yeah, I think I like Mikey's team way more here just because I think their guys overall are going to bring less variance to the table. Sammy Watkins is in a big matchup. We'll see what happens there. Outside of that, Nick's team doesn't look super juicy without Mark Ingram in the lineup. I don't got much else. It's funny to see Mikey starting 3 tight ends, but that's like his optimal lineup. So.
I think that if Mikey can pull this win off and be 3-3 without Fournette doing anything all year, will be big for him.
Yeah, was that his first or second round pick?
First.
Oh my god. Mike Brobst, do you have anything to add to that?
Same deal. I'd say just too much range of outcomes for Carpet Munchers. I just don't know. I mean, if they all hit, I think he could score 180, but they also could score 85. So
as it seems done all year.
Yes, exactly. And I still there's a little more floor with Mike Evans, James White, Matt Ryan, Zach Ertz. I mean, there's just all those guys are solid. You got 4 or 5 guys that are kind of going to be there no matter what, week in, week out. So just with that safety and that floor, I like that just a little bit better this week.
Well, ESPN seems very confident in Mikey's team because even though he still has the Lions defense in, which is on a bye, he's still projected to win. So, all right. Next matchup is 4 Down Territory versus the Golden Taint.
Oh, it's me.
Yes, sir. That's you.
Go for it. Lead off.
Let's look at this. I don't think I've looked at this week. Oh, he's got Cam Newton, Kenyon Drake.
He got Alvin Kamara. He's
Well, honestly, I feel bad for Ricky because so many of his draft picks just did not pan out for him. Like, Kenyon Drake's been abysmal, and then he drafted Bell, obviously, Hogan he drafted, and he traded for Ajayi, who's now on IR. So, just so much has gone wrong for Ricky's team. I mean, I guess the bright spots of it are Cam Newton and maybe Devin Funchess, depending on what kind of game he has. Doug Baldwin is solid, but he was terrible last week. 1 reception for 1 yard?
Yeah, I had to double check he wasn't hurt. I'm like, where did he go? Apparently they said he was shut down, but it's what?
But he played all the snaps, right?
Yeah, he played all the snaps. He was. Yeah.
That's one of those things you keep on the low and you let the fish, throw them away. Doug Baldwin fucking sucks, man. I hope Ricky trades me. I mean, I would never trade for Doug Baldwin.
Yeah, so Ricky's team looks pretty ugly.
So yeah, I think regardless of what happens with this trade, Mike's team's gonna lay the hammer. So we can just jump right into Butts versus Robert, and Robert had obviously still AFK. He wrote a letter, and in it he said, "P.S." and then in all caps, "Maddie, get fantasy football information for me." So Robert is gonna love to find out that he's in first place. He obviously has no idea because he's in boot camp, and his team is just barely holding up. Team that he drafted is just barely holding up. If you look at his bench, he's got nobody. And he hasn't even been infected by bye weeks or injuries. No bye weeks. Me and Wiseman haven't had to touch his team yet. We said we were only going to touch the team.
Well, we had to take somebody out. I don't remember who it was.
It was Jack Doyle.
Yep, that's who it was.
Yeah.
And he had Sony Michel to fill in.
That's what I'm saying. So his fill-ins have barely held it together. If one guy is even on a bye week, we have to pick somebody up or start Rashad. No, we can't start Rashad Penny. We won't do that. We would have to pick up a guy that has a floor of 8 points, not 0 points. So. But we haven't even had to do that. So Rob is still hanging on to first place.
What?
I mean, his team, other than the 2 stinkers in there with Kelvin Benjamin and Derrick Henry, is really fucking solid.
Yeah, the starters are extremely solid. Yeah, no doubt. It just once you get past those, if there's any injuries to his key guys, it's going to be real.
He hasn't even hit bye weeks yet.
Yeah.
So this matchup just looks like a battle of studs, pretty much. Antonio Brown, Christian McCaffrey, Deshaun Watson, Robert Woods, even Emmanuel Sanders. Yeah, then versus Melvin
14
Gordon,
targets
Aaron
last game
Rodgers,
for Sanders.
Sony, James Conner. So it's just going to be whatever the studs do, I feel in this matchup. They're both 2 very good teams. Butts is finally getting some wins like he deserves. So, some win streak, actually. He was 0-2. We make fun of Butts, but he's on the come-up, and he might be able to make a shake-up in the standings this week. Anything else?
Yeah, I think it'll this is another one where I think a lot of them are going to be dependent on game script because I think that the Chargers should beat the Browns, but for some reason the Chargers have trouble with the Browns sometimes. So Melvin Gordon, I mean, he's been safe for at least 15 to 20 points a week, so I wouldn't be too worried about that. But the Cincinnati versus Pittsburgh matchup is going to be big for this one since Rob has James Conner and Juju. Usually it's a lower scoring game from what I've been told, so I don't think that we can expect a shootout there, so I guess it's possible that Juju and James Conner combined between the 2 of them are held for under 30 points. But as far as the Sony Michel play, we don't know how Kansas City's going to go versus New England. Last year, the first game of the season, New England got smacked by the Chiefs. So like we don't know how it's going to go. And for Butt's side, he's got obviously the guaranteed guys like you said with AB and Christian McCaffrey and Manny Sanders. But outside of the studs for Butts, I think I don't know. I'm not too confident in the floor of some of Butts' players. Like Alex Collins' floor is very low. Swaim's floor is very low. Butts, Boyd and Bilal Powell's floors are both very low. So I think Rob has the safer team. But if Butts' team hits 160, which is very much capable of, I think that he could pull out a win. But I'm going to say, if I had to put my money on this one, I'd go Rob.
Yeah, fair assessment.
Yeah, I'm leaning Rob. A sneaky play could be Robert Woods if Kupp or Cooks can't go. So that'll be huge, especially after Denver just got lit up against the Jets. So.
Well, like I said earlier, that game, it's supposed to snow, so that game could be on the ground entirely, which would make Sanders and Woods not good plays this week.
Yep. Okay. Because otherwise, if it don't snow, I like that. I think I see a shootout all over that game, honestly.
Yeah.
So.
Well, that's all of our matchups for the week.
Yeah, you want to tell us what's going on in the B League, Jed?
Yes, sir. Let's do that. Not much has changed in the standings. It's still Billy Block, Team Easy Money, and Andy Miller Time sharing the lead at 4-1. Devin Pooley's right behind that. He was in first last week, followed by Ryan Wicker, then my mother. Team Killer Cam, worst case scenario, Tommy Sheehan. We got Maddie, Brandon Johnson, and then my brother in dead last. Not much is going on in the league, like not a lot of action. I think there's some guys to be had on their waiver. We had so Devin Pooley really wants to get on this show, and maybe we'll get him on. But man, there's been some cute moves. People like Geronimo Allison and there's some questionable waiver moves going on. Deshaun Jackson's still on the waiver, and they're not that deep. So I would like to see some action out of that league before we get all antsy getting these guys on. I need to see some moves, man. I see Deshaun Jackson on the waiver, and people are rostering 2 defenses. I don't know what's going on. They're picking up Geronimo Allison instead of Deshaun Jackson. I just don't get it. But not much going on in the B League. Yeah, that's all I got. Wiseman?
No, I don't really have anything to add. I just am hoping that I can get my first ever victory against you in fantasy football, Jad. So that's what I'm hoping for.
Yeah, is it like that?
Yeah, I've never beaten you before, so hopefully this is the week.
Is it more than one time a year?
I think. Well, I know for a fact I've never beat you in this league, so that's all that matters.
Like I'm saying, if you lost to me more than one time in a season, because that would be annoying.
I don't think I've ever played you twice. I think the past 3 years we've always been the first game. Like I've always played you week 1, and I've always lost.
Schedule. Yeah, so I think you're gonna smash me this week, Mike. Your team looks really good.
Kamara, Gurley, and Mixon. It's stupid.
It's not stupid.
It's
not stupid.
Not literally. It's stupid in a good way, I guess.
But it's stupid. It's stupid. Good. It's good.
Push it through.
Yeah. I'm gonna sleep on it.
I'm making moves out here.
And it was a great move. We're gonna see if we can maybe work a middle. If not, there's probably a good chance it goes through anyway. But in a move where the best fantasy football player gets traded, obviously I want to make sure the right thing happens. Just trying not to let anything sneak by me, you know?
Fair enough.
That's all I got from the Anti Revenge Fantasy Football League. We are about to be halfway through with the regular season. Bottom 2 regular season guys get relegated. Top 2 championship face-off guys, not the regular season for B League, the championship face-off, those 2 people will move up. And Derek, I don't think you're desperate, man. You still got 8 or 9 weeks, 7 or 8, 9 weeks left, and there's only going to be a 2-game separation between you and the next guy. So let's get this going, and that's all I got. Anybody got anything else?
Nope.
Mike, Baby Jackson.
Jack says, go Lions.
Bye, Jackson. Peace out, y'all.